Great, we're ready to get started. So hello again. Thank you for joining us this evening for a program that we're calling Community Through Creativity. Before beginning, please note that we are offering closed captioning for this webinar, and you can turn that function on by clicking on the captioning button at the bottom of your screen. My name is Dan DiCenzo, and I am Associate Professor of Music and also an alumnus of the college, class of 1998, back when dinosaurs used to roam the quad. Tonight's webinar is intended to highlight the many opportunities at the college to be involved in the arts and in creativity. We have a thriving arts community at the college, but what really sets us apart is that the arts and creativity community is not only for music and theater and art and creative writing majors, but a community for the entire college. And at Holy Cross, you are as likely to encounter an economics major or a varsity athlete involved in arts courses or in performance as you are to encounter a music or theater major. At Holy Cross, we believe that the arts are a central part of our experience, and we're really so pleased that you could be with us here tonight so that we could show you some of the things that we do. Our program will begin with a brief performance from the music department and then 2 brief performances from the theater department. And after this, the faculty for music and theater will introduce some of our program highlights. And after that, we will open the floor to questions. Throughout the entire evening tonight, you can put questions into the question box. So at the bottom of your screen, you will see a little Q&A tab that you can click on. And you should put your questions into the Q&A. And when we get to the second half of the program, we will answer your questions and hopefully get to as many of them as possible. Before we begin, I'd like to point out that you can find out more about the arts at Holy Cross by visiting holycross.edu and clicking on the Arts and Culture tab, which is at the top. And the contact information for all the faculty that you're about to meet, both in music and theater, can be found at holycross.edu/music or holycross.edu/theater, spelled Theatre. And so without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to remove myself from the spotlight, and I am going to now move to my colleague, Professor Jan Müller-Serwas, who is the artist in residence and also director of performance programs. And if you just give me one moment to pin, here we are, and all set, ready for you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce 3 students who actually will be live streaming a performance for you from Brooks Hall with masks and everything. And we will start with, well, there's Kevin Chen, who's going to be at the piano, and Liz Mazzocco at the violin, and Joe Krakolici, he's a cellist. And Kevin is a music and computer science double major. Liz is a music and accounting double major. And Joe, he hasn't declared yet because he's a sophomore, but I think he's leaning towards music and possibly accounting as well. Kevin and Joe are our current Brooks Scholars, and the 3 of them will be playing the first movement, the second half of the first movement of Felix Mendelssohn's Trio No. 2 in C minor, Opus 66. The movement is titled Allegro, Energico e con fuoco.
Excellent. And I will just move. Ready. Oh, that was just amazing. What a wonderful begin. So thank you very much to our students, and thank you very much to Professor Jan Müller-Serwas, who prepares them so well. We're going to move now directly to the theater performances, and Professor Megan Dieter, who is Professor of Practice in Music and Theater. And I'm going to now remove that spotlight and bring it over here. Excellent.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much to that trio. What fabulous music, and what a wonderful way to spend a Sunday evening listening to some live music. You all were wonderful. So now it's my honor to introduce our next two pieces to wrap up the performance portion of our program. I'll also encourage everyone at home to keep throwing questions into the Q&A. We have student panelists who are going to answer them later, as well as faculty. So don't be afraid to reach out with any questions you have about the arts and theater and music here at Holy Cross. So now we will move over to Izzy McNamara Angel, who is a sophomore majoring in theater and history, and she will be singing for us this evening from Queens, New York, in her kitchen. So we get to experience many places when we're remote. We've been working on this song and the next song that Sadie will be singing. We worked on them as part of Singing for the Broadway Stage, which is a course I teach. So without further ado, I will throw it over to Izzy, who will be singing for us The Sound of Music from the musical, The Sound of Music. You might listen, though, the key is lower than what you might be used to hearing Julie Andrews singing all the high notes. This is the key from the original score, and it also has an introductory verse that's not in the musical that I think gives us some great insight into the character and what Maria is experiencing and the questions she's asking. So without further ado, I'm going to throw it over to Izzy in Queens, New York.
Great, thank you so much. My day in the hills has come to an end. I know a star has come out to tell me it's time to go. But deep in the dark green shadows are voices that urge me to stay. So I pause and I wait and I listen for one more sound, for one more lovely thing that the hills might say. The hills are alive with the sound of music, with songs they have sung for 1,000 years. The hills fill my heart with the sound of music. My heart wants to sing every song it hears. My heart wants to beat like the wings of the birds that rise from the lake to the trees. My heart wants to sigh like a chime that flies from a church on a breeze, to laugh like a brook as it trips and falls over stones on its way, to sing through the night like a lark who is learning to pray. I go to the hills when my heart is slowly. I know I will hear what I've heard before. My heart will be blessed with the sound of music, and I'll sing once more.
Thank you so much, Izzy. And now we're going to move to Sadie O'Connor, who is a junior majoring in music and English. And she will be singing a song that we worked on last year in singing for the Broadway stage, The Girl in 14G. So Sadie's coming at us from Wheeler Residence Hall on the Holy Cross campus. And we will now throw it over to Sadie.
Thank you so much, Megan. We just moved in to 14G, so cozy, calm, and peaceful. Heaven for a mouse like me, with quiet by the leaseful. Pets are banned, parties too, and no solicitations. A window seat with garden view, a perfect nook to read a book, and lost in my Jane Austen when I hear say it isn't so, not the flat below, from an opera wannabe in 13G. A matinee of some cantata, Wagner's ringing Traviata. My first night in 14G, I put up with Puccini, brew myself a cup of tea, crochet until she's fainty, 8:30, not a peep, except the clock tick-tocking. Now I lay me down to sleep, a comfy bed to rest my head, a stretch, a yawn, I'm almost gone when just be da-da-da, just ready for the day, na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, woo! Now the girl upstairs wakes me unawares, blowing down from 15G, her reveille. She's scatting like her name is Ella. Guess who answers a cappella? Zoop-doop-doy-doy. Zoop-doop-doy-doy. I'm not one to raise my voice, make a fuss, or speak my mind, but might I query, would you mind if, could you kindly, I'm gonna say it, stop. That felt good. Stop. 13, 15, 14G, a most unlikely trio. Not quite three-part harmony. Holding on tight, we're singing
Thank you so much, Sadie. I will pass it back to our wonderful moderator, Professor DiCenzo, and I will also start to spotlight the faculty who are going to give us a little information about the various programs.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you not only to Professor Dieter and Professor Mueller-Serra for preparing our students for performing so well. It really is a wonderful situation to work with such talented students. And I also want to shout out to Professor Brian Saya, who you couldn't see, but was helping us deal with audio engineering issues from kitchens, dorm rooms, concert halls, and Zoom. So we really very much do appreciate everything that he's been doing to keep us up and running. So now on screen, you will see we have 3 faculty members, 2 whom you've already met, Professor Jan Mueller-Serra, Professor Megan Dieter, and adding Professor Allegra Martin, who is Director of College Choirs and Interim Director of the Chamber Orchestra at Holy Cross. So we're going to begin with Professor Serra, who is going to talk about chamber music, the lesson program, the Brooks Scholarship, and other performance opportunities. And then we'll go from there to the theater department.
All right. So our performance program is really based on 2 main pillars, and they are our lesson program and our ensemble offerings. And starting with the lesson program, lessons are really extremely important for the development of our personal musicianship, right? And therefore, taking lessons increases the confidence and the expertise of the individual playing ability and singing ability. And it's such an important part to take that opportunity to really develop these things, because also our ensembles, they are directly linked to the quality of the individual members, right? So if there is a very a strong group of people, the repertoire which can be programmed is much more challenging, and it can be just fascinating and fantastic to go into depth with great masterpieces. So the lesson program is actually supported by the music department for music majors, meaning that the music department pays for the private lessons for music majors and prospective majors. So if you are just you come in as a freshman and you are not declaring yet, but you are on track of becoming a music major, then the music department will pay for your lessons. That means that you have to be enrolled in classes such as music theory or history, so that you stay on track to graduate as a music major. For non-majors, of course, you are very welcome to also join the lesson program. And in fact, I very much encourage any level of players, from the very beginning to the very advanced, to take advantage of these opportunities which the music department presents. And for non-majors, there is a fee, unfortunately, which has to be paid on top of the college tuition for that. It's very reasonable. It's $650 for 10 lessons per semester, 1 hour long lessons, or half of that for half an hour long lessons. So I think it's a great opportunity to really develop your own musicianship, and therefore really form the basis for all of the activities which can happen on the stage at Holy Cross. Now, Professor Martin is going to talk a little bit more in depth about the ensembles. And I don't know, Allegra, if you're going to do that now, or if you're going to take on a little bit later.
I think I'm third. Megan,
okay.
Are you before me?
Then let me expand just a little bit more then on the performance program. So what I also wanted to mention is very closely linked to our offering from the performance program is the Brooks Scholarship. The Brooks Scholarship is a wonderful opportunity, and it's a 4-year full tuition scholarship offered to a high school senior who will be majoring in music or double major in music and another discipline. So the important thing to keep in mind is that candidates must demonstrate an outstanding accomplishment in the area of instrumental and vocal performance or composition, and also show significant academic achievement. So I highly encourage the performers who are seeing this to apply for this scholarship. And you can find the link to the application on the music webpage. And the deadline is January 15th, so that's important. And one more thing which is very important is that it's a separate application, the Brooks Scholarship application, which needs to be filled out in addition to the regular college admission application. Okay, that's something to keep in mind. And I also wanted to just mention quickly chamber music, which Dr. Martin is going to talk about the large ensembles, but I wanted to mention our chamber music program, which is very closely related to our Artist in Residence program. Our Artist in Residence program is based on chamber music coachings by the Artist in Residence. I'm a cellist and I'm one of the Artists in Residence. We had a fantastic violinist and pianist as part of it as well. And really, the Artists in Residence take care of the chamber music coachings. They provide masterclasses, performance forums, and which are accessible to actually everybody on college. But the chamber music program itself, you have to have at least an intermediate level of expertise on your instrument to participate, so that we can really assign challenging and great repertoire. The hallmark of our Artists in Residence program is really that students and Artists in Residence play concerts and present concerts together. And so it's a beautiful opportunity for the best students which we have to really experience a personal connection to how it would be to professionally prepare a concert and have that part of the official concert calendar of the department. So I wanted to bring that to the attention, and feel free to ask Kevin later a little bit more about his experience in the question and answer, because he took great advantage of this as a book scholar, and he will be joining the Q&A later.
Great, thank you. And now to Professor Dieter in theater.
Thank you. Well, I'll speak a little bit about the Department of Theater and Dance, both academically, the sort of classes we offer, and by way of performances, the sort of things we put on stage. We offer the theater major for people who are interested. We usually have around 30 to 40 majors. I think we're in the neighborhood of 35 right now. And many of our theater majors actually choose to double major in other disciplines. So for instance, Izzy, who you heard sing earlier, and Sam, who you'll hear from a little later, are both double majors. So that's always an opportunity that we encourage at Holy Cross. To be at a liberal arts college, you can really double major because all of the common area requirements are the same, no matter if you are a science major or an arts major. So we have the theater major with 2 specific tracks, and you can either choose to go down the performance and acting track or down the design track. And both tracks have a similar core of classes, but then they specialize in different directions. And then also we have the dance minor. We don't have a theater minor here, but we do have the dance minor, which has a lot of leeway in how you want to fulfill the courses. There are 3 core courses that you have to take, and then you get to choose 3 electives from all the dance courses we offer. And we offer many different dance courses, including ballet, modern dance, dance composition. We just got a new faculty member this year who teaches hip hop and breaking, and those courses have been awesome. You can take Balinese dance here as well. So there are a lot of different ways to fulfill the requirements for the dance minor. And in terms of performance, we offer 3 main stage productions from the theater department each year. So we do a play in the fall, a musical in the winter around February, and then another play later in the spring. And those main stage productions are directed by faculty or guest directors, and auditions are open campus-wide. So don't think that just because you are not a theater major that you could not audition. In fact, we encourage everyone to audition, and we often cast people who are not majors. So It's a small department. There's a lot of opportunity. We call folks who aren't majoring, but we see a lot in our classes and in our shows, friends of the department. So there's always opportunities, even if you're not majoring, to take the classes. A class I'll recommend is basic acting for anyone who's interested at all in the theater department. It's a great class to take that first year, get plugged into all the activities and the various things you can become a part of. For instance, we have student directed projects. You'll hear about all these auditions. And we also have alternate college theater, which is a really wonderful program. A student program where the students are the board. They run the entire program, and they also produce 2 shows each year. So in addition to those 3 shows I talked about, we have 2 fully produced department supported student shows in which they are student directed, they're student produced, and student cast. And Sam Sweet is the chair of alternate college theater right now, ACT, and she'll be on the panel later. So please send some questions out to her. Send me any questions you might have about the department or the of theater and dance, either theater or dance, and all of it. I teach both acting and voice, and then music theater. We have people who specialize in theater history. We have people who specialize in directing as well. So we have a lot of great courses to offer, and you don't have to be a major to take them. So I see the chat box is getting more and more questions, but please don't hesitate to ask questions. We are here to answer your questions. The students are so excited to answer your questions later in just a few minutes. So keep those questions coming. And I will very happily throw this over to Professor Martin, a wonderful colleague.
Hello, thank you so much, Megan. I hope I didn't just freeze, but I think I'm back. So thank you so much, Megan. My name is Allegra Martin. I am the director of college choirs here, and for this year, I'm the interim director of the orchestra. I'm going to be speaking a little bit about the ensembles in the music department, and then I will also speak a little bit about the academic side of the music major. For the ensembles, in the music department, I saw a specific question about vocal ensembles, so I'm going to answer that first. There are 2 vocal ensembles in the department: the college choir, which is unauditioned and open to everybody. It usually hovers between about 40 to 60 people. And the chamber singers, which is an auditioned group of 12 to 16 singers. For that group, sight reading and previous choral experience is very important. In addition to that, there are a number of vocal ensembles at the college outside the music department. There are 4 student-run a cappella groups. So if you are an a cappella fan, you are going to have plenty of opportunity to engage with that on campus. And out of the chaplain's office, there are also 2 choirs that sing for masses. The Schola Cantorum sings at the Sunday morning Mass, and the chapel choir sings at the Sunday evening Mass. Masses also are always looking for cantors. So there's a lot of singing opportunities on campus. In the music department, besides the 2 choral ensembles, we also have the orchestra, we have the wind ensemble, we have the marching band, which is actually technically a part of student affairs. And actually, we have the jazz ensemble, and the jazz ensemble and the marching band have a concert tonight. It's going to be streamed. It's a virtual ensemble concert, and I hope you check it out. If you're interested in what the choirs, the orchestra, and the wind ensemble have been doing, we actually put together a virtual concert on Friday, and you can find that at the Holy Cross Music Department YouTube page. But I hope you maybe check out the concert tonight. In addition to, let's see, wind ensemble, marching band, jazz ensemble, we have a Balinese gamelan ensemble, we have a percussion ensemble. I think that I have hit all the ensembles, but there are more opportunities than you can shake a stick at. Many students have the problem of trying to decide between all the ensembles because there's a lot to do. And most of those ensembles meet twice a week. For music majors, you are required to participate in music ensembles for at least 2 semesters. The other parts of the music major that are required there are three theory classes, 3 required courses in music history, and then you have 4 electives. 2 are at the 200 level and 2 are at the 300 level, and for a total of 10 classes. So while we do not have a music minor, one of the reasons we don't have one is because the music major is really not very onerous. Almost everybody who's a music major is a double major, and they major in something else as well. So students find it highly compatible to do the music major and also major in something else. We have faculty in composition, theory, musicology, and ethnomusicology, performance, electronic music, audio engineering, great variety of stuff. And some of the classes that you can take are Gregorian chant, coding with computers, audio engineering, world music and global pop, seminars on Mozart or Beethoven, and jazz improvisation. So I think I'm going to now turn it over to the next thing on the agenda.
Excellent. Yes. So we are now going to introduce 6 students who are going to join this panel, and each of them is going to give just a 60-second introduction to themselves, and then we're going to get directly to your questions, and the students and the faculty are going to address your questions. So Sadie, if I could ask you to introduce yourself first, and then I will move to add everyone else to the spotlight while you're introducing.
Sure, no problem. I forgot I was in the spotlight. I'm Sadie O'Connor. I'm a junior. I'm a music and English double major, but I'm also a friend of the theater department. And on campus, I do concert choir, chamber singers, Schola Cantorum. I'm a soprano section leader. And in the theater department, I do the musicals and plays. And I think that's it. I think that's everything that I do, music-wise at least.
Excellent. And could I have Liz introduce yourself next?
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Griffin. I'm a senior here at the college. I'm a music and history double major. I am a clarinetist in the orchestra. I'm also co-chair of that ensemble. I also play in the jazz ensemble, and I have previous experience with the wind ensemble and pep band as well.
Excellent. And now Izzy?
Hi, I'm Izzy. I am a sophomore. I'm a theater and history double major, and I participate in all of the musicals and performances. Last year, I also participated in an ACT show, and I did choir as well. So yeah.
Excellent. And Kevin next.
I'm Kevin Chen. I'm a senior music major and computer science major, and I play piano, and I'm the Brooks Scholar of my year. I also participate in chamber music, and I collaborate with the ACT and theater department in the pit.
Excellent. And Kathleen?
Hi everyone, I'm Kathleen. I'm a sophomore chemistry major. I play clarinet in the wind ensemble, the orchestra, and the jazz band, and I've also played in the pit orchestra for the theater musical last winter. I'm the concert master of the wind ensemble, and I also run the social media for orchestra, so you should all go follow at Holy Cross Orchestra on our Instagram.
Great. And finally, Sam?
Hi, I'm a theater and economics double major. I'm a senior. I'm also a member of the theater department SAC. I'm a member of the a cappella group Off the Record, and the chair of Alternate College Theater, which I'm just going to really quickly run down. It's a student theater group that does 2 shows a year. It's completely student run, so directors, designers, tech, and producers are all students. We also have a show that's out right now called The Fox, so we're going to put the link in the chat so you guys can check that out. It's free tickets, and it's all virtual, which is really cool and exciting.
Excellent. So at this point, we're going to open it to the questions that I already have in the question and answer, but please do continue adding questions, and I'm going to try to share them with my colleagues and students, and hopefully we'll get as many of them answered as possible. So one question that's immediately coming up a lot, and I think is the business of the balance between department ensembles and shows versus student run and a cappella groups and things of that nature. And so maybe one volunteer who's more accustomed to the theater side and one volunteer from the music side. So maybe Sam, you could start with ACT versus department shows, and then we'll take a student from the music side.
Yeah, so you'll find at Holy Cross that there's most people who are involved with the student run things are also involved with the department run things. There's not really a hard line in the sand between all of those students, especially in the theater department. So a lot of students are involved with ACT one semester and then do a department show the next semester, and then costume design for a ACT show, and then it really goes back and forth. So it's not like you're picking a club and you're sticking there. And then a lot of the students are also involved in other music ensembles. So we like to do a lot of things.
Great, and maybe a volunteer from the music side to talk about the music department ensembles and volunteer student ensembles. Elizabeth, yes.
Yeah, sure. So the music department, as Professor Martin mentioned, we have the orchestra and the wind ensemble within the department for instrumentalists. And then and for vocalists, we also have the college choir and the chamber singers. Outside of the department for vocalists, we have a cappella groups. And then outside of the department as well for instrumentalists, we have the wind ensemble, pep band, and marching band. Again, kind of like Sam was saying, it's very fluid. You'll often find students participate in some combination of all of these things. I don't think anyone participates in the same combination of things either. So there's a lot of fluidity on campus with those kind of department ensembles, but also within the clubs and organizations that are on campus as well. So it's not exclusive, like Sam very eloquently said, it's not one side or the other, it's kind of both, and celebrating both and what people can do in both capacities.
Excellent. And another question we have here more for the theater side, so Professor Dieter, about the opportunities for performance for the dance program, and also the requirements for the dance program, and whether or not students who are not dance minors can participate in dance classes. Those are 3 questions I see here about dance.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought those questions up, everyone, because I forgot to talk about the dance performance opportunities when I gave my little spiel. But we do a big dance concert in the spring with a lot of participants, which is also fully produced with lights and sound and costume, which is part of our spring performance schedule. It's usually towards the end of the spring in April and May, and anyone who's taking a dance class that semester performs. So absolutely, you do not need to be a dance minor in order to take those classes. The classes start at beginner, no experience, and then they usually go up all the way, I think, through level 4. The dance professors are wonderful, warm people, great instructors, and they encourage, if you're interested, just take a beginner class. If you've had more experience, you can contact a dance instructor and they can help you figure out what course you might want to place into. So there is a big dance performance concert at the end of every spring, and anyone involved in any of the dance courses that semester will perform. Also, Balinese dance, the majors might have to help me, and Gamelan perform together. Do they do their own concert together?
Yeah.
And is that both spring and fall?
Yeah.
Yeah. So every semester that happens, and it's a really wonderful event on campus where the Gamelan ensemble is playing, the Balinese dance group is dancing, which is also fully produced with lights and costumes. So another really important dance opportunity there.
Excellent, thank you. And so there's been some questions about music performance generally and COVID. So I think I'm going to ask both Professor Mueller-Serwa and Professor Martin to address this, since chamber music and obviously vocal performance have different aspects of that. I should begin by saying that in the spring semester at the moment, all students are invited back to campus. That is the present plan. There's a rigorous testing protocol in place. And so though in the fall semester, we were almost completely remote, for the spring semester, all students are invited back. And so Professor Mueller-Serwa, can you talk about a little bit the ways in which you've been able to adapt the program and what you see for the spring and fall? And then I'll ask Professor Martin to do the same if she would.
Yes, of course. So of course we have had great restrictions to deal with our performance program, and due to the difficulty, we have only been able to have very small ensembles to work on this semester, and there has been great yeah, a lot of things have to be done. It's a vigorous testing protocol which needs to be kept on, and fortunately we have Brooks Hall, which has enabled us to work with the piano trio and with just a few students. It's of course a very different story for the ensembles, and Allegra is going to be talking about that.
Yeah, so at the moment, of course, even if you're masked, it's not safe to meet in large groups indoors. On top of that, the majority of people in an orchestra and a choir cannot actually really be masked. Although among my many masks, I have figured out which ones work better and worse. So this semester, we were entirely remote, and that meant that we had 2 Zoom rehearsals a week for each ensemble. For the college choir and the orchestra, one was a big meeting of the whole ensemble and one was a sectional, so we could focus more on people's more specific needs. And those were each an hour long. And then everybody in the orchestra and the choirs was required to do 1 recording a week into an online software called Soundtrap. And to make that process go more smoothly, the music department actually bought and mailed to every single student in a music department ensemble a USB microphone, so that the quality of these recordings would be better and that people would get less frustrated. And I think that, and there, Sadie is holding it up to demonstrate. That's our Fifine microphone. And so I think that did help to make everybody's experience a little more positive. For the spring, not that I expect necessarily anybody watching will have to arrive on campus in the spring. Hopefully you'll be back in the fall when everything is totally delightful and normal again. We hope. But the spring, again, since it's not safe to meet inside, for the first half of the semester, we are planning on doing remote rehearsals again and doing some more virtual projects. For the second half of the spring, as the weather starts to get better, the singers will move outside. We're still under discussion into what space. Possibilities include tents or parking garages. And the singers will be masked and distanced and the whole bit, but at least we'll be able to sing together in person. The singers are going outside first because their instruments are the most hardy. And then after that, we will send the orchestra outside as the weather improves. And many details of this have yet to be worked out, such as a complicated weather predicting system, etc. But so my hope for the spring is that the first half will be virtual and the second half will be distanced outside in person. And hopefully we can have some sort of playing together as our final event. So
just to add to that,
everything to answer the question, which was really how things changed quite a lot. I don't know if any of the students who've been in choir or orchestra want to say anything about that, about what changed and what felt the same.
Just to add to that shortly, lessons actually will be conducted remotely, online via Zoom mostly. And I just wanted to throw that in, that unfortunately, because of the uncertainty of things, the lesson program will be online.
Sadie, I saw you raise your hand. Did you want to speak to this question?
Yeah, sure. So I'm on campus and things have been really different, but we've really been able to make it work because we've had the virtual stuff with choir, and then through a performance seminar that a few of us in the seminar are in right now, we were actually able to program and film our own concerts, which has been really, really cool. And so for that, we do a combination of virtual and in-person distanced masked performances and rehearsals. For that, Kevin and I worked on the concert that I'm gonna put out in a week or so, I think, actually. And we were distanced with masks for all of the rehearsals, and then we chose the chapel, which was big enough to incorporate everybody and be safe. Obviously no audience, but Professor Saya and Brett helped us out with technology, and Kevin and I were distanced from each other for when we did the actual performance. And so we recorded all of that, just like we recorded the choir concerts, and we're all going on YouTube this year rather than in the chapel for real. But it's definitely been really different. It's been really, really helpful that the music department and theater departments have been willing to accommodate us. This room that I'm in right now has been given to me as a practice room. Normally we have practice rooms in Brooks, the music building, and you can order them through the music library for like 2 hours at a time. But since since those are not available because of the sanitation that they would have to go through, all of the music majors who are on campus, Professor Rell has given us each a practice room in Wheeler. So I don't actually sleep here, but sometimes I stay pretty late in here just because it has actually pretty good acoustics and I can sing without disturbing my roommates. So it's all been really helpful. And even though it's really different, we've made it work.
Excellent, excellent. So I have some more questions here with relating to double majoring, and also if you're a double major, is it possible to still be in performance ensembles? I have other questions about students who are, is it possible to be a major in the arts and also be involved in something else significantly, such as an athletic program or something like that? So maybe I'll ask two students to comment on double majoring or majoring in an arts plus another significant activity, whether athletics or something like that. And then I'll ask maybe Professor Dieter if she would say a word or two about that as well. So I have a volunteer from the student side. So Sam, and then Izzy.
So it definitely is possible. I think it becomes more complicated when we have like D1 athletes, but it does happen. We had a football player who was the absolute sweetest, who was involved in a lot of student-directed pieces, which was awesome. So one of the really cool things I think about the theater department is they have a directing class that each semester casts projects. So they're more low commitment and allow it a little more flexibility. So I know a lot more variance is allowed in like those programs just because they're a little bit less intensive. Yes, you could make it work. It's hard, but such is life.
Great. And
sorry, I also am not part of athletics or anything like that, so I can't speak to that specifically, but I am a double major in theater and history, like I said, and I also know people who double major in not an arts class, and like I know someone who is history and sociology, for example, and you can still take theater classes. In my Singing for the Broadway Stage class, we have people like that. And exactly what Sam said, there are plenty of opportunities to get involved that are maybe less high commitment, like not a department show or an ACT show, but the directing pieces. So it's totally possible.
Excellent. And Professor Dieter, maybe some of your observations for parents online who'd like to know how possible it all is.
It really is possible. I think one of the advantages of coming to a great liberal arts school like Holy Cross is that those 12 common area requirements are college-wide, no matter what you're studying. So that allows you to double major in fields that aren't totally related, because those 12 courses won't change no matter what your major is. So it's very possible. And I think, just to echo what both Sam and Izzy said, department shows, they are a time commitment. We usually rehearse 5 days a week for 3 hours a night for 6 to 8 weeks, depending on where it lands in the schedule. So that's a big time commitment. But there are other opportunities to perform with ACT tends to be a little bit more flexible, but it's still five days a week, or the student directed projects. I also saw someone ask about how to become a director for ACT, and the best thing you can do is take basic acting your first year at Holy Cross and then start taking the directing courses. And again, you could do that without being a theater major at all. At Holy Cross, you have to take, I think it's 18 courses outside of your major. So even if you're a double major in like history and sociology, like Izzy said, you're going to need 18 courses outside the major. So come take some music classes, come take some theater classes. It's a great way to get plugged in different ways. And I'll just say one more thing, which is, I know a lot of these students, like Kathleen played in the cabaret pit band last year, and we got to put her in a costume and put a spotlight on her. They were on stage the whole time. It was a really fun show. Or Sadie does a lot with the theater department, but she's not a theater major. So a lot of these students have been in choirs and in ensembles and in a cappella. So really, whatever interests you, just go for it. We can usually make it work. And Holy Cross students work really hard. They're very involved.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, with one eye on the time, I know that we had promised that we would keep this to approximately an hour, and there are some specific questions that we've not answered yet, and I'll explain in a moment how you might get those answered. Just to make an observation myself, I have, for example, in my Gregorian chant class, which does have a singing ensemble, the Schola Gregoriana. I've had lots of athletes take that, and it works well because the rehearsals are embedded into the course. And the same is true of the gamelan ensemble. So the gamelan ensemble, the actual rehearsals are within the course. As always, our arts students like to be involved in lots of different things. And so there have been a few questions about, are there ever conflicts? And of course there are conflicts because you can't do everything all of the time is the answer. But of course, we do try to work collaboratively with each other across theater and music, but then also, of course, within music and so on and so forth. Before I just make a couple final remarks, I just want to ask my colleagues in particular if there's anything that you saw in the questions and answers that you think I've neglected, or just a comment that you wanted to make before I closed it off for everyone and gave instructions about how to reach us.
I would just throw one thing out, which I forgot to mention, but Sam did, which is that Alternate College Theater's show is streaming right now. So just go to the Holy Cross Theater website. It's free. You can see how we've been doing remote theater this year. We're writing an original musical as well, which will come up in February. And Sadie, Izzy, and Sam are all in the show. And that will be streamed again for free online. Just check out the theater website, and that should be February 25th that comes up. And then we're going to stream 2 more shows, ACT musical and another play. So keep an eye on our website if you'd like to watch any of the shows. And again, this year they are all free. So we invite you to come check it out.
Wonderful, wonderful. And any closing comments from either Professor Mueller-Serra or Professor Martin?
Just to say that also on the Holy Cross Music Department YouTube page, you can see concerts that have already happened. And in 1 hour, there's going to be another concert. So like the theater, we encourage you to check that out. I know there were a lot of questions in the chat we didn't get to. So when Professor DiCenzo does give you our contact information, I encourage you to just send us an email, all of these specific questions about percussion and all the other detailed questions you have, we can easily answer via email.
Great.
Yes, I just wanted to make a quick pitch here for the arts in general, how important it is to engage in the arts. It's such a gift to actually do something with passion and with honing the skills of perception, of awareness of oneself, of the colleagues, of the environment, and really immersing oneself in this incredible world of the arts. And I think Holy Cross really presents a way that you can do that as a double major and get as much as possible, as rich as possible in education. And this is a great place to do it.
Thank you. And Sadie, did I see a hand for a last word?
Just a couple of questions that I saw that I think I can help answer. I saw a question about music theory courses and what level is right to go into. And that was something that I really wasn't sure about when I first came in. I also took a music theory class in my senior year of high school. And I think it really equipped me well to head right into Theory 1. If you don't have any music theory experience, I would highly recommend taking Fundamentals of Music your first semester, because that'll really give you an intro. Even if you are an instrumentalist, there are a lot of things that I didn't know, like what different chord names are and things like that, especially because like if you learn mostly by listening versus by sheet music, that can tend to change depending on how you learn. So I think take a look at maybe some practice theory exams online, look around at what your high school class covers. If it's an AP class, usually you're in a good place if you take AP music theory, and then that will lead you right into Theory 1. But a lot of it, I think our professors are really good at getting you in at whatever level you are. So definitely I would say think about it and know yourself well enough to know how fast you learn, because the courses are fast paced, but I think it's definitely available no matter what level you are. And then the other question I saw was about church music and the different cantors and sections and stuff. The two ensembles are not auditioned. They are, the Schola Cantorum does the 11:30 Mass in Sunday mornings, and they do a lot of different styles, some hymns, some like Bach and Handel stuff, some older style things. We are accompanied with the organ. And then the chapel choir will do the evening masses, and they're mostly piano and like more modern hymns and things like that. As far as I know, cantors are not, they are auditioned, and it depends on whether or not you're a section leader. If you're a section leader in the Schola Cantorum, you get paid, which is, you know, it's nice to have a job on campus, especially if you want to sing and you get paid for singing. So for that, you just reach out once you join the ensemble itself, reach out to the moderator, who is Lawrence Rosania and Daniel Mahoney, sorry. And they will set you up with an audition time as soon as that starts. But overall, it's definitely very accessible. So if anyone else has any questions, or also Professor DiCenzo, is there a way they can get in touch with us? Should we put our emails somewhere?
I will, they can email me and then I'll put them in touch, would be the easiest thing to do. But I want to thank, first of all, everyone, the students who were able to come tonight and volunteer their time, the players who were able to play in the trio, and the singers who were able to sing. Professor Mueller-Serra, Professor Dieter, Professor Martin, thank you so much for your time. And for colleagues unseen, Professor Saya and Brett Cotter, who is works as a stage manager for us, and also the chair of the music department, Chris Orell, who helped organize tonight. At Holy Cross, the arts truly are for everyone, majors, non-majors, and we really love to see more involvement from students all the time. So how to get in touch with us? This is easy. So holycross.edu, let's do that again, holycross.edu/music. That will get you to the music department's webpage, and from there you can just click on faculty and staff, and you will find my picture and Professor Martin's picture and Professor Mueller-Serra's picture, and there are email addresses right there. And the same is true for theater. holycross.edu/theater, spelled R-E, not E-R. And you can find Professor Dieter's email address, and of course more information about everything that's happening. And again, at the main webpage, holycross.edu, there's an arts and culture tab up at the top, which will give you a compiled calendar of all the different arts things that are going on, not only within the departments, but across the campus, ATB, things that we've not had time to talk about today. So I want to thank everyone for attending tonight. We really do encourage you to reach out to us if there's any additional questions. And if you need something from admissions, it's admissions@holycross.edu. So thank you, and we hope to see you applying and perhaps arriving in the fall. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.